Good evening, Adam Franklin here, and this is the birthday edition, turned 40 this week, so that's why that's all there. Tonight we're running through another template from the book Web Marketing That Works. Tonight's template is the event marketing template. Now this works for offline events like in real life and also Zoom events, which many of us are doing these days. So let me talk you through it. We have the template there. Let me just bring that up on the screen. Will bring me down here. There. So if you're tuning in live, just let me know in the chat. We have our template there, as you can see, and it's called the event marketing template. There is a free link to download it with no opt-in required, and that is down the bottom here. bluewiremedia.com.au/EMT for event marketing template. All right, so if you're watching live, there we are, Bo. How you doing? Whoops, everything's just gone every which way. Let me just bring it back. All right. So we've got people live, and what I want to do is just to take you through the template. So we've got before, during, and after. So let's just break it down here. So let's start with before we have an event. All right, a few things we need to think about. The first is you obviously need to have a way for people to actually register for it. Whether it's paid or free, doesn't really matter, but we do need to set up a ticket registration page. I've always liked to use Eventbrite as a free tool. You get to use it for free if it's a free event, and then if you're selling tickets, you just pay them a certain clip of the ticket, so it's a very small percentage, but you pay that to them and it plugs in really easily with PayPal. So that's a very easy way to do it. You can also use whatever landing page software you use, like Lead Pages is the one that I use, although typically for events, it's Eventbrite because then they get the tickets sent to them and there's all that other stuff taken care of. So a few things to keep in mind. We need to just think about event title, whichever speakers you're going to get to speak there, the agenda, the time and date, the map or the Zoom link if it's a Zoom conference, ticket prices. I typically like to have tiered pricing or staggered pricing. So you might have an early bird price, a general price, or maybe like a two or more ticket rate. All things to think about in terms of the marketing, as well as just setting up the registration and payment. Any social media share buttons if it's an open public event and you want people to spread the word about it. And Eventbrite off the shelf will set up a confirmation email and a tax receipt. You're free to go in and edit those in Eventbrite, or just simply, if you're more inclined to use your own software like Lead Pages or Infusionsoft, you can just set up whatever confirmation emails you like, but it's a bit more techy. So that's the actual setup of the registration page. Of course, all that stuff's important because then you need to start marketing it. So the next part is to then try and get bums on seats or virtual tickets sold. So a few things to keep in mind here. We typically would encourage you to email the invite to all your email subscribers. If you've got guest speakers, encourage them to share information about the event. If you've got attendees who've registered, then encourage them to share it. That's really useful. Now, what actually happens normally is that with Eventbrite anyway, it's set up so that people can share it. So if you're tuning in live, just pop live into the comments for me. And so yeah, encourage attendees to share. If you've got sponsors, encourage them to share it. What I've always liked to do, particularly for live events, and actually the same would go for Zoom, I just haven't done it yet, is to invite journalists, bloggers or influencers as VIPs for free. So So I've actually done this for many events and ended up with PR or articles written about the event, not about the event, like not to promote it, but it's given us coverage in the Courier Mail and Sydney Morning Herald and a bunch of others, because we've invited these influencers, bloggers, journalists, and they've come along, they've learnt some stuff, and then they've shared what they've learnt in an article. So that's a really pro tip that can work really, really well. Now, Twitter probably isn't quite as big these days, but Instagram or other social media platforms you can use this same technique for. Use social media and encourage people to take photos and put a hashtag, to retweet, to talk about the conference as they're going, to get additional exposure before or during. But at this stage, we're talking about beforehand. So retweet competitions can be pretty effective if you want people to spread the word. Then we want to reach out to other networks who might be interested in your event. So if you've got partners or different business groups or associations where what you're going to talk about could be useful to that community, reach out to them and say, look, I'm running this event on XYZ. I thought your audience might be interested. Here is the details, and I've actually set up a discount code for you, or some other incentive for them to share it out. Often they'll be happy to, just because the content that you're going to talk about is of use to the people in their community. Alright, then the final bit for marketing is just to send out a follow-up email just a few hours before the ticket sales close. Again, scarcity, fear of missing out. You need to drive people to make a decision, either yes, I'm buying a ticket, or no, I'm not. So there we have it. That's what to do with marketing the event. Now, I think LinkedIn's another good platform when we're talking here about social media. Share it to your contacts on LinkedIn, tell your friends on Facebook about it, tell your friends on Twitter and Instagram. The more active you are and the more personalized you are, personal messages, DMs, Facebook Messenger messages, the more of that you can do, the more interest you will have in your event. So, set up the Rego page, market the event. Now let's look at what to do during the event. So during the event, if it's a live event at a hotel or a function room or what have you, I do encourage you to have free Wi-Fi, but that said, hotel Wi-Fi is often pretty terrible, so often it's easy just to say plug into your hotspot. I do encourage you to have a hashtag, especially for public events. That way when people are tweeting or posting on Instagram, people at home or people that maybe didn't know about the event can follow along with some of the insights, and this may encourage them to want to sign up for the next event you run. So encourage people to tweet. I like to take photos at events. Of course, I ask for permission and say, look, can I take a photo, but also can I put this on my Facebook page afterwards or post it to Instagram? Most people say yes, but it's always polite to ask. Ideally, you would film the presentation. If it's on Zoom, you just hit record, or you can set it up to record automatically. This way you've got an asset to use afterwards as a resource for attendees, or maybe it's something that you're going to sell afterwards. If you've got a camera set up, or even just your phone, at the end of the day, if people have said nice things to you, then just say, hey, look, would you mind just doing a short video testimonial or answering a few questions, and I'll record the answer, and could I use that as a testimonial from you? If you really want to organise tweet ups, that's a little bit 1990s or 2000s, but in the real in-person event, you could encourage them to just, if they've connected on Twitter beforehand, maybe go meet for a coffee at morning tea or afternoon tea. In a Zoom type of workshop or event, you can just set up breakup rooms in the morning tea, lunch and afternoon tea breaks, and invite people, if they want to have a private little breakout room, they can pack their own morning tea, have a cup of coffee, and just chat amongst themselves in a breakout room. So that's really useful. And also finally, what I find really useful is having printed out feedback forms. That way, while it's fresh in their mind, they can give you feedback, what was good, what was bad, but also it's a good way to ask for testimonials, which you can then use to market your next event. Additionally, I also like to have a link to my Google business review, so they can leave a Google review for my business page. So at an event, I'll say, if you've really liked it, a written on paper testimonial is good, but what I would prefer is if you go to this link, and I set up a pretty link, I say go to bluewiremedia.com.au/Google-review. They click on that, takes them straight to my Bluewire Media Google page. Then they can leave a review, and it's a nice way to build up social proof on Google. So that's what to do during the event, and afterwards is really important too, because particularly if it's an event to not only deliver value on the day, but to drum up business for future, so like winning ongoing clients, what you do afterwards is super important. So anyway, what I like to do is set up a resources page. It's just a simple page on your website. I include a thank you message. I normally upload my slides to SlideShare and make them available to attendees. I have a resources to download section, so I might have talked about certain tools like say Ecamm Live, which is what I'm recording this on. So I'd have a link to Ecamm. I might have talked about my Logitech webcam, so I'd have a link to order one of those, or a link to resources or books or whatever else I've talked about on the event. Make it easy for the attendees to reference that. So the websites I've referenced, and most importantly, have your contact details and a call to action so that people know how to get in touch with you and what the next step is. Now, of course, you'd probably cover this in the actual workshop or event itself, but it's nice to have the reminder afterwards. And then finally, the follow-up part, I like to post photos to Facebook, assuming you've got permission, and tag attendees where possible. That way they've got memories of the event, they might share it, etc., etc. If you have recorded sessions, pop them up onto YouTube or maybe Vimeo. I typically use YouTube for my public videos and Vimeo for my private videos. So private videos being anything I share with clients or what have you. Send an email to attendees saying thank you, but also include a link to the resources page, and email an event summary to people who missed out. So maybe some people registered, but for some reason life got in the way and they couldn't attend. So send them the recording, the notes, the workbook, whatever else. So that, in a snapshot, is the, let me just make myself a bit smaller. That is the event marketing template. It's yours to download, bluewiremedia.com.au/EMT, event marketing template. So there we have it. That is today's birthday edition of the template run through. If you've enjoyed it, just leave a thumbs up in the comments. If you're watching the replay, type replay in the comments, and if you've got questions, drop them in the comments too, and I will answer them. Thanks for the birthday wishes there, Lou. Folks, we will see you on the next video as we go through more of the marketing templates from web marketing. That works. Have a great evening. See you later.